Welcome to Ports and Palaces podcast. It is September 16th, and today we're going to talk about the top 10 things not to miss at Epcot.
Good morning, everyone. We are going to be looking at Epcot and the top 10 things that you should not miss or things that you should do at Epcot. Chad and I each made our own list. We didn't look at each other's list, so it's exciting to see what we said and see if we have some overlap. So what we did, though, is we made our own 10 lists. I actually added just a few extra just in case we have some overlap. If we don't have any overlap, you could end up with a top 20 list or a top 23 list, but we're going to say top 10 because we each came up with our top 10 list.
Would you like to go first, or do you want me to go first?
Sure, I'll go first. So the first thing, and these are in no particular order, just your top 10 tips. So the first thing would be to go inside the pavilion. So when you're just kind of walking around the World Showcase and you're just looking at the kind of the outer edge of each pavilion, there's so much more inside. I'm especially thinking about like China. There is so much if you actually like walk into that area and experience all of that instead of just like walking to the very first thing, riding that ride, and then leaving. There's so much more to do in those pavilions. So make sure to go in like deeper into those pavilion areas.
So now for my first tip, if you're coming in from the Skyliners, I highly recommend, even if you don't have a lightning lane, try to rope drop Ratatouille. Everybody's going to be flooding there. Please don't run. Please don't push people out of the way. But it's definitely worth it to rope drop early as you can in the morning when the park opens. You're not guaranteed a front spot in the line, but you're definitely guaranteed you're going to get in to Ratatouille within an hour as long as you pace yourself and get to Ratatouille as fast as you can.
Yeah, I have that on my list as well, as far as like making sure that you ride Remy's Ratatouille Adventure at some point while you're at Epcot. Some people want to skip it because they're like, that's a kid ride or whatever, but it's such a good ride. So definitely make sure to ride that. So my second tip was about the kind of two differences of the park. So you have like the front part, which is they have a bunch of names for them now, like Future World and World of Nature, things like that. And then you've got World Showcase, which is the pavilions. So my second tip was try to knock out the front of the park before 11. So the World Showcase doesn't really open until 11, like Remy and Frozen, because their rides, they open before 11. But the actual pavilions, for the most part, don't open up until 11. So if you can try to knock out the front of the park before 11, that just kind of makes your afternoon a little more streamlined, that you can just go through each of the pavilions and kind of have some time for there. So tip number 2.
That kind of goes along with my second tip, especially if you're coming from the front of the park. Definitely try to get in line at Guardians of the Galaxy as fast as you can if you don't have a lightning lane. There's always a morning rush, but man, the afternoon is super, super jam-packed for that ride.
I also had something about Guardians, but it was truly just to make sure you ride it. Don't skip it. It's worth the wait. Even if you are there with a long line, it is worth it. And with the rainy season right now, it's actually a nice place to get out of the rain. Mm-hmm. So even if it is a long line, it's better to be in a long line inside than walking around getting soaked. So definitely don't skip Guardians no matter what. My next tip was to make sure to see the World Showcase at night. So it's so beautiful seeing it lit up throughout the lagoon and seeing all the different pavilions. We have such good footage of the nighttime, and it just looks so different with everything all lit up. It's really pretty. So make sure to kind of take a second and just see all the pavilions kind of across the waterway, and it's a nice view at night.
So my next tip actually kind of involved more food items, specifically pastries and coffee. Kringla Cafe is a great little spot over at Norway. They have a lot of really good breakfast-style pastries. They have pretty good coffee. They have alcoholic coffee with Baileys, so that's pretty nice. That's a nice touch. But yeah, throughout the day, if you're just wanting to stop by for a really tasty treat, a really nice, tasty dessert pastry, they have that too.
Yeah, the Viking coffee is really good. We like that. And they also have like a non-alcoholic version called the Christoph coffee, so that's a good option. The shul bread, or if you look online, it looks like school bread. I struggle with that one. It's so popular. Everyone's like, "Oh, it's so good," but it tasted like a really bad donut to us. It was just kind of
stale.
It was really cold, and so I don't know. Just to each his own, but the coffee was really good. My next tip is actually a little bit outside of Epcot, so I guess I'm cheating just a little bit, but take a trip on the monorail. It actually goes through Epcot, and you can see like different views of inside of that front part of the park. So even if you just step outside for just a minute and take a little trip on the monorail, it's a nice break during the day, and then it's also just a nice way to see Epcot. So I also recommend, kind of going back to one of my other tips, but if you do it at night, you have a really nice view of all of the pavilions because they're all lit up. So definitely go just a little step outside of Epcot and take a trip on the monorail.
My next tip involves yet another ride. I really liked Living with the Land and some of the other rides, but I really specifically enjoyed Soarin'. It's a very cool experience. It lifts you up in the air. It flies you around mountains and sunscape over the clouds and all kinds of cool stuff. I really like it.
Next up in my list is something about snacks as well. So over in Germany is Caramel Kuche. Some people call it Caramel Kusha. I don't really know exactly how you say it, but it's all caramely goodness, and you really need to try something from there. They have the caramel popcorn that's really popular, but they've also got like snickerdoodle cookies with caramel and cream in the middle, just straight up caramel like pretzel cookies. They're really good. So stop there in Germany. It's a great little treat with a little bit of sweet and salty depending on if you get the popcorn. So that's my treat tip.
My next tip involves, a great instance of being able to get out of the sun for a long period of time, a nice, slow, but informative ride. I recommend riding Spaceship Earth if you're trying to get out of the hot sun or just trying to relax after rushing and rushing and rushing. Usually the line is not super long. It is a cult classic ride at this point. So it does get crowded certain parts of the day, but definitely not early in the day and definitely not late in the day either.
In the afternoon, skip it, but early morning and late, you're good to go. There's not much of a line. I'm surprised we don't have a whole lot of overlap. I thought for sure we would, but we're not having a whole lot of overlap, so that's pretty cool. My next tip is to make sure to go see the Voices of Liberty in the American Pavilion, especially at Christmas time. They do like Christmas carols, so that is really cool. They're inside the rotunda area inside the American Pavilion, and it's a really, really cool show. So don't miss that. It's very cool the way it kind of reverberates throughout the entire hall. So especially, again, getting out of the heat, getting out of the sun, it's a nice little show to watch. Make sure you see it because it's really, really cool.
My next tip is also a really good option to get out of the rain and the beating sun, depending on however the weather is. It's also a hilarious setting. Even if you don't care for the Nemo ride and stuff like that, I really, really enjoyed Turtle Talk with Crush. That was really funny.
Yeah, this is not in my list of tips, but I'm going to add it. Over in the Seas Pavilion in the aquarium as well, there's like a Dory's activity, like a scavenger hunt. We've not been able to do it just because we never really make it over there in time, but it's really fun and it's all in the little aquarium. So that's something fun you can do as well to kind of do something a little less ride focused with your little ones. But yeah, the Seas Pavilion is fun. My next tip is going to be a controversial one, and it's buy Premier Pass. So this is probably the only park I really, really recommend it for, because there are so many tier 1 rides: Remy's Ratatouille Adventure, Frozen Ever After, Test Track. You've also got some high tier 2s. You've got Soarin'. There is Living with the Land, which can get kind of popular in the holiday season. You've got Seas with Nemo and Friends, which isn't popular, but the line can get long sometimes. Spaceship Earth, like there's some rides that, like Chad said, are cult classics, and then also some that are just really popular. Again, Guardians is a huge ride there. It operates on a single pass, and so I really feel like, because Epcot's Premier Pass is not the top dollar one, usually Hollywood Studios and Magic Kingdom are the top dollar Premier Pass, that it's actually kind of worth it. And then you could knock the attractions out in the front pretty quickly and then enjoy your day in the back of the park around the World Showcase without having to time it out with lighting lanes. So a little controversial, but I would say if you're going to get a Premier Pass for any park, it should be Epcot.
So my 7th tip is a little funny. Not a lot of people like this ride, but it's a good time killer, and the line is never long for this ride. This is over in Mexico at the Grand Fiesta Tour by the Three Caballeros. It's a musical experience. Yeah, that's all I gotta say about that. But you can just ride it over and over and over and over and again while you wait for the stuff that you actually care about. So
someone's going to be offended, but it is a nice, cute ride. It's a nice boat ride. Usually no real wait there. Kind of going in with the Three Caballeros, because Donald the Duck. My next tip is to do the DuckTales in the showcase. It's the Play Disney app, and it's really fun to go around and do the different adventures in each pavilion. That's a nice way to have kids be a little more engaged in Epcot. Sometimes people think that Epcot is like the skippable park because it's just food. It's not for kids. But DuckTales is a really nice way to get them involved. They have these little cases they do in each pavilion, and then you kind of go through the park, and then you have your like one final big mystery that you have to do. And so it's a really fun little activity on the app. So don't miss DuckTales on the Play Disney app.
So my 8th tip, kind of a circle back to Kirsten's earlier tip about Germany. I really liked the giant pretzels and the craft beer selection. I'm not much of a hoppy beer guy, but they did have amber beer options, and that was really good. From Sommerfest, do have a sit-down restaurant there as well, but you can order pickup from Sommerfest.
I always pronounce it Summerfest, but that might be the Texan in me. You have German in you, so you probably can pronounce it right. I just call it Summerfest. My next tip is, if you can and you don't care to be in the front row or have the best exact view of Luminous, the fireworks show, get a dinner reservation for later in the evening at La Hacienda de San Angel. They have windows that overlook the lagoon, and you can see Luminous from there, and they actually will kind of dim the lights and pump in the music, and so you can really enjoy that in a nice seated place and then get right back to your dinner. So that's a nice way that I don't feel like that show there's really a bad place to watch it, but no one likes to stand around and wait for, the best place. So this is kind of a way that you could watch it but not really need to stand around and wait for it, and not pay for a fireworks dining package.
My 9th tip kind of goes along with Soarin', but it also goes on yet again with a relaxing experience at Epcot, especially during the holiday season. Living with the Land. They light up a lot of the plants and make several different Christmas figures out of them, and it's a really cool experience to go through. It's like driving through a neighborhood looking at all the Christmas light.
And then my next one, so I made just a little bit of a longer list in case we overlapped, which we did just in a little bit, but not as much as I thought we would. So my 2 bonus tips were to start on the left side of the park when you're doing your World Showcase. So everyone says to start on the right and end in Mexico on the left side, because if you're drinking around the world and you are starting with margaritas, that's going to affect you more than if you start on like the Canada and UK side. But if you're not intending on drinking a whole lot, we prefer to start on the left side and do Mexico and Norway and then work our way around the park and end in Canada and UK. So just know you're going to hear a lot of people say to start on the right, but we might be contradictory there, that I actually think touring from the left to the right is a little bit of a smoother process.
My final 10th tip is about food again. Especially if you really like Chinese food, I highly recommend the Lotus Blossom Cafe. I really like Asian food. They had a really good assortment of Chinese staples such as chicken fried rice. They had chicken pot stickers that were really good. I think they also had beef pot stickers. I could be wrong though. But they had several vegetarian options as well if you're a vegetarian. But it was absolutely delicious.
Yeah, the wontons are really good as well. They only do those for certain festivals, but if you can get there when the wontons are, those are really good. And then my final tip is KidCot. So in each pavilion, there are little kid activities that you can do to learn about each country and their traditions. And this is a really nice way to really showcase what I think Epcot is really meant for. And that's to teach people about other cultures and other experiences that maybe we don't see or experience every day. And so I feel like KidCot really hones that in. A fun little tip, if you are going during the school year, you can also put in that little tag that Epcot is helping you learn about other cultures for your school note to say that they are going on an educational trip. But that would be my final tip is KidCot. I'm surprised. So we did 10 things, and then I did a couple extra just in case we had some overlap, because I thought for sure we'd have an overlap. But that was interesting. We really didn't have much overlap. It was, I need a different word than interesting.
Intriguing?
Sure. It was kind of intriguing, the fact that like you can kind of see our personalities in the way we did our list. So Chad was more ride focused, more, this ride you should do this, or
food.
Yeah. And I was very World Showcase driven, because that's the part of the park that I really enjoy. So you kind of got to see a different perspective, whereas when you have different travelers together and they have different priorities, but hopefully they all sometimes mesh together.
This was a lot of fun to discuss. We'll be doing this for all 4 parks. If you have any suggestions for either tip or regular podcast episodes, let us know. If you would like to enter a question on our podcast, we'd be privy to that.
Make sure to leave a rating or review or a comment if you're listening on Spotify. Let us know your thoughts. If you enjoyed this podcast, make sure to share with your friends or travel partners. That helps our show grow and reach more people. We always enjoy interacting with you on our socials, and we will see you next week.
Until next time, I am Chad.
And this is Kirsten. Happy travels from all your ports and palaces.
This podcast is sponsored by Ports and Palaces Vacations. Whether you are wanting to check out a new port along a cruise line or see the palaces of Disney and Universal, our travel advisors make your dream trip a reality. Your next trip is just a click away.